Matter of fact, the invite, where are you at? Look at your background. I'm the only one that's always in the same background. Where are you right now?
I'm in a hotel in Chicago, National Soccer Coaches Convention.
Wait, you're where? National Soccer
Coaches Convention. You've been to those coaches conventions, man. Coaches everywhere. I traveled my Wendy's Cup and football. By the way, that Wendy's football got me dinged at TSA.
No, it didn't.
They had to go through my bag, and they pulled out the Wendy's football, and they're like, sir? And I was like, yes. What do you want, man?
It's a football.
Light it.
Bum, 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 bum.
He's back, Coach. He's back.
Bum.
From the
He looks
Far
the same.
East.
I was worried he was going to look a little
the same.
different. No, you look.
What you thought I was going to look like, Coach?
I don't know. You've been gone for a minute.
Thought I was going to come back with that samurai sword?
Oh, our resident ninja, Mark Ingram. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. 2 faves for just $7. Gotta be Wendy's. Terms apply. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Rate, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media at 3X Option Show. New episodes drop every Wednesday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Rob Stone, Urban Meyer, Mark Ingram back here with you guys. Before we start things off, I'm an LA guy right now, and it is just an ugly scene out in that part of the country. And Sinclair has partnered with the Salvation Army to raise funds in support of disaster efforts across Southern California. To donate, we encourage you to go to Sinclair, SINCLAIR, cares.com, sinclaircares.com. All the funds raised will directly support the Salvation Army's wildfire disaster relief efforts. And let me tell you, people need it. A lot of people are really hurting in Southern California right now. So to those folks, let's try to give them a little bit of a respite and talk college football. Hey, we started the season, guys. 134 teams theoretically now had a chance to win it all. Really, I think the number is more like in the teens, but we went to 12 at the playoffs, the largest playoff format ever in FBS history. And now we are down to the final 2. Notre Dame taking on Ohio State. We at Fox Sports have the Super Bowl in a couple weeks' time. And if you were to ask our executives, our programmers, who do you want in the Super Bowl, right? They would tell you the Dallas Cowboys, right? Just because of the national audience. And they would probably say, I guess, Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, right? If you're looking for the ultimate potential audience. If you said this to the college football playoff committee and the broadcasters, you take the most powerful brands in college football are the Ohio State and Notre Dame, and you put them together for the national championship game. This has the possibility to be the biggest, the most viewed college football game ever. And I don't think that's hyperbole. And one of the talking points leading into this game, guys, is the pressure. And the pressure, Coach, that comes with playing and coaching at an Ohio State or, Mark, in your case, Alabama. A lot of people are making a lot about it. My take, Coach, I'm assuming is this is what you signed up for.
Yeah, I kind of watched what happened the last few weeks, and if I didn't watch it, I was obviously hearing about it through people text messaging me and going after the Ohio State fan base, and there's the pressure and then I saw someone sent an article to me today where do the players or the coach really need this, win and get out? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And I guess I can bring a different perspective that I've been at places and I've also received phone calls and I wouldn't call them interviews, but people asking me about coaching there. And the comment that I always wanted to be around is the answer is we expect you to be the very best in the country. There's nothing like, I know that for a guy like, maybe not all players and all coaches, but I know Mark Ingrams of the world, the alpha dogs, they want to be at the place where anything less than perfection is not allowed.
Right.
Not many people really understand that, and that's okay. I get that. I guess I've been at places where I had to go out the subway and beg and speak and have raised money because I wanted to buy my team T-shirts when I first became a head coach. The average attendance was 2,600 people, and man, I hope we get some people at the game. I also been at places where you go to the booster clubs, and I wonder how many people are going to be there. And you're going to see it now as the rich get richer in this day of NIL. I'd be very cautious about attacking fan bases. Fan bases are the bloodline for what programs, and I'm going to speak about the Ohio State fan base. Are they rugged? Are they tough? Are they high expectations? They expect you to win every game. They expect you to beat your rival and win a national championship. I'll help you. You're damn right they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, every person that puts on a scarlet and gray helmet better believe demand that they do too, because that's not for the timid. And here's the reality though, shelf lives are not long in those kind of environments. I get it. I went 7 years and that was good. No desire. I mean, that was 365, 7 days a week, 365. You're working on doing the very best you can to be the best at what you do. I watch other places that, they play a team that's not great and their stadium's half full. I see, I see just stuff out there that, and I went through it like this, Mark. I'm really intrigued because you played in the SEC. So I went north, the Wolverines, Penn State, Notre Dame. I went hard south, Florida, Miami, Florida State. I went SEC, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia. I know I'm going to miss a couple. Texas, A&M, and Oklahoma from the center of the country. And then you got USC, and a newcomer is Oregon. I think Washington, I know I'm going to miss a couple, but the one thing that you have to ask yourself is there's really one place, and I'm biased because I'm from the great state of Ohio, where football was born into your blood. You realize when you're born in Columbus, Ohio, they give you a beat the team up north shirt. The baby has a beat the team up north. In Canton, Ohio, you're born, and Massillon, they put a football in if you're a boy, a little in your crib when you're born, Mark.
Yeah.
And people say that's insanity. I agree with you.
I love it.
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
I love it.
But I tell you one thing, you can never worry about an open seat at Ohio Stadium. You can never worry about a program that's not going to be funded by the people because they are complete, absolute nut jobs. When you lose a game or you 3 and out and they punt, you boo, and you hear all that's, when I hear people say, well, why would you, or attack the fan base or something like that? I'm the opposite. I would meet, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark, in a second. So it was standard operating procedure. Every staff meeting, I made that very clear that where you're at, the expectations will never change. No, there's no media member, there's no assistant coach, there's no one that's ever going to say, we got to temper this down a little bit. It's not the way it works.
Right.
Same thing. There's not a player going to come in. These guys are loud here. I dropped a ball or I fumbled or I did this. Man, they're pissed off, and my social media is getting attacked. I know. I mean, don't drop the ball. So I love passionate fan bases because I've seen the opposite. I'm very defensive of the Ohio State fan base because I'm one of them. I grew up a Buckeye. I understand football is a way. It's not a pastime. America's pastime? No. It's a way of life. And so, Mark, I'm real intrigued by your opinion when I see people say, man, it's there's too much on you there.
No, I mean, that's what you sign up for. You go to a place like Alabama, you go to a place like Ohio State, you go to Texas, USC, these prestigious, universities that have a tradition of excellence, a tradition of championship pedigree. And what you do is you take on everything that has came before you. When I went to Alabama, you see all these championships, you see all these All-Americans, you see all these trophies. You see Joe Namath, who has came through there. You see Sean Alexander, who has come through there. You've seen all these greats that have played before you, and you have to live up to the standard and continue to elevate the standard. So when you go to a place like that, where where championship is the standard, where excellence is the standard, if you don't perform to that standard, you will hear about it. You will hear about it from the fan base. You'll hear about it from the previous players, the guys who have come before you, because you have a tradition and a standard to uphold. And really, you have to not uphold it, you have to continue to elevate it. So, and if you don't want that, then you could just be fine with being mediocre. You know what I mean?
There's plenty of other places to play.
There's plenty other places for you. So when you go to a program like that, that is the standard. That is what is required of you. You know the history, you know the players who have come before you, and you must live to it and continue to elevate it.
Let's talk about this, Mark, because I'm interested too, because the NFL, that kind of shocked me a little bit when you go and you see just horrific facilities. You see, I don't want to beat a place up, but I went to a place and I'm like, what is this? I don't, this does not understand. I don't understand that it's not, because we always had a saying, is it the best in the conference and the best in the country? And what the response would be, it's not, and the question is why? Make it the best.
Mm-hmm.
And make it the best doesn't mean silly stuff. I was never into the facilities that are kind of, swimming pool, whatever, all that. I'm just talking about for a student athlete, for Mark Ingram, you better have the best trainers, the best
Yep.
strength coaches, the best nutrition, the best sport performance model, because this is your career. This is your life. We get you for 3 years, pal.
Yep.
And you better be treated like freaking gold.
Yep.
And if that doesn't happen, someone's got to come in and answer the question, why are we not the very best?
You have to have
And
an
that's
elite
why-
support staff, and that support
Everything.
staff has to all be funneled into making the team the best. What is best for
I get chills right
the
now
team?
thinking about it. You know why? Because when you got that, you win it all.
Yes.
That's what happens when, it's not just the great player. It's not a coach. It's not an assistant coach. It's this massive humanity that comes together, and that ship goes that way.
Yep. And
there's
everyone
one
was on the
question
same
you
accord.
ask.
Yep.
One
Yep.
question: are you the very best at what you do?
Yep.
And I would say it's a simple question, but at times a complicated answer.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, let's do all we can to get there.
Yes.
And we'll supply all the funds necessary to make that happen.
And,
And quite
again,
frankly,
not every
Coach-
institution has that, though,
Yeah.
right, Mark? I mean,
Yeah.
Coach, you rattled off probably about 15 programs that live and die
Right.
with their football team. And most of those places, oh, by the way, have deep pocket donors, are strong institutions that can support that type of ecosystem. Not everybody is that fortunate. I would say every football coach in America wants to get to a position at Ohio State or
Yeah.
Alabama, right?
Yeah.
That's their goal. That's their dream. It's
Yeah.
not the realities for everybody. And the ecosystem just isn't
Yeah.
there on this grand basis.
Yes. And when
Like
you speak
it
about
is
Well,
for
that's
those
what
elite
we're
programs.
that's where we're talking. We're talking.
Correct.
And Kalen DeBoer is getting ready to feel it.
oh,
I mean,
for sure.
he's at a place
He's feeling it.
you can't lose.
Yep. You can't lose.
And they pay you well, and so it's tough.
Yep. But when you talk about the ecosystem, that is so important. Like you talk about from the top to the bottom. You talked about the president, the AD. You talk about your head coach. You talk about the assistant coach. You talk about the strength coach. You talk about the academic advisor. You talk about the training table. You talk about all these people. Everyone has to be on the same accord. And if you have one group out of line, one group out of sync, it never goes how it's supposed to go. So the ecosystem, the structure of your organization, everyone has to be like-minded. Everyone has to accept the challenge of being great. Everyone has to accept the challenge of excellence. And when you have that, like-minded individuals all believing in each other, all pushing towards the same goal, that's when you accomplish something special. And that's what you see with Ohio State right now. That's what you see with Notre Dame right now, supporting their young head coach and Marcus Freeman. So when you have that type of environment, the program's able to thrive.
Light it.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get 2 of these favorite items for just $7, but not just any 2. I told you favorite items. Listen, I meant it. Nothing snack sized around here. You can choose from our OG spicy or classic chicken sandwich, Dave's single or 10-piece nugs, any way you like them, spicy or crispy, that is. So 3 fantastic options, but here comes the hard part. You only get to choose 2. So what do? You could go for a spicy chicken sandwich and a Dave single. Maybe it's double the spice with a spicy chicken sandwich and a spicy 10-piece nug. Or you could go for the choice you forgot you could make, but in an instant changes everything. 2 10-piece nugs. I know it's crazy, right? 2 of your favorite items for $7. Gotta be Wendy's. Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Select or request 2 for $7 deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo meal orders. Individual items at regular price. Excludes saucy nugs. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Well, as you all know by now, we have teamed up with our great friends at BetMGM this season, and we're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. We'll also have special offers for our listeners each week. Mark, you're listening, right? You're listening to this?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Pay attention. All right, so if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, we urge you to use the bonus code OPTION or go to betmgm.com/option, and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer, Mark, on your first wager with BetMGM. We're talking $1,500, Mark.
1,500. But here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code OPTION. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code OPTION when you sign up or go to betmgm.com/option.
It's all about the option, Mark.
It's all about the option, especially the triple option.
See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369 New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. All right, let's jump into those two programs and how they got to the national championship. On Friday night, the Buckeyes' third straight playoff game, guys, that they scored a touchdown on their opening drive of the game. Those great, strong starts have really been a hallmark of the Buckeyes through the course of the playoffs. The other big talking point throughout the course of the playoffs for every team that's won seems like they've won the line of scrimmage. And Will Howard, watching particularly in the first half, how much time he had in the pocket and the protection that he had was remarkable. Texas made a point to take Jeremiah Smith out of the game, so it was other guys that stepped up. And Coach, I start with you. What jumped out to you in the Buckeyes semifinal win over Texas?
Oh, so much, but the fast start, but then the fast start got halted. So it was
sure
7
did.
points for about almost three quarters. Might have been into the fourth quarter, but Texas, it's the one team I really studied getting ready for this game, and then obviously all year. It's the one team, mano a mano, Mark, that you kind of looked across the line of scrimmage, and I always evaluate it when I watch that player play. There's great college players, but I always like to say, okay, when I look at the skill of Ohio State, I think every one of those skilled players will start in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what I just said. Not the start in the NFL.
All three wideouts.
Yep.
No doubt. The secondary.
Both tailbacks.
No doubt. The two tailbacks, yeah. So you look at the Texas Longhorns, damn, they're good.
Yes.
They had, and that one kid got hurt, number 2. I lost his name here, but he was dynamic. He almost busted that long one early in the game.
Yeah.
But they're the one team that matched up with them, and I thought that was one of the greatest football games I've seen, and the way it ended for obviously Ohio State, because that was an even game.
Yeah.
And people are going to jump all over Sark about that toss sweep down on the second 1-on-1, which we can talk about that in a minute. But I thought both coaches, both staffs, and most importantly, those players played their asses off in that game. I mean, there was not one, a couple stupid penalties, but there was not one time you looked, and it looked clean and hard-fought game, Mark, to me.
Yeah, Coach, and you talk about that sequence on the goal line. You did the playbook on this Ohio State red zone defense. We know how elite they are in the red zone, especially down there on the goal line. When you run into the teeth of that defense, you're usually never successful. So as a coach, when you see that, you try to attack a different angle, right? And they try to attack the perimeter. And Ohio State, quite frankly, was very sound with their defense, with their technique. Caleb Down goes and make a great tackle. But this game, from top to bottom, man, it was just it was a battle in the trenches. That Texas D-line was stout. They were hitting them in the mouth. And Ohio State found a way just to keep they were bracketing Jeremiah Smith. They were kind of slowing down the inside run game. What they do, they throw a screen to Travion Henderson at the end of the first half, 75 yards for a touchdown. So even though Texas was standing there toe-to-toe with them, they just found ways to kind of get over the hump. And then in the second half, it's a battle. It's a game of who is going to beat themselves, right? Who is going to make the mistakes? Who is going to play the right football, the winning football that helps you win the game?
I would argue, Mark, that the Buckeyes were the team that were hurting themselves the most in that game. There were so many penalties, uncharacteristic penalties that really
Interception
impacted
by Will
the
Howard.
Buckeyes.
Yep. No, but you're right. But they found a way to overcome it. That goal line,
You're going in to tie the game. You're on the 1 yard line, 1st and goal to tie the game. It is the fault of the century, Stoner. It is the fault of the century, Stoner.
Hey, baby.
You know what the defense is.
Captain Jack will get you by tonight, right?
You know what the
you
know what the defense is, right? That the Buckeyes played. I went and looked at it today.
What was it? Bear
0.
Bear 0.
Yeah, they have Bear 0. There's 2 extra defenders at the line of scrimmage waiting on you, and it's tough. But
Coach,
you'd have to think with a gap scheme. Mark, set. You have 4
1
downs.
yard. I don't care,
4
Coach.
downs from right
I'm
here.
quarterback sneaking 4 times in a row, something. I don't know. It's easy to say right here, but you got 1st and goal from the 1 yard line to tie the game and have yourself a chance to go to the national championship. 2nd and goal on the 1. Then you got the lost yardage play. Then you got strip sack to the crib. Jack Sawyer, the hometown kid, with the forced fumble to the crib.
So let's talk about this real, because this is the old playbook stuff. But okay, you got this far to go as Bear 0. How do you equate numbers, Rob? See if you remember. How do you equate numbers? There's only 2 ways. How do you equate numbers?
Are you listening to
Put guys in the
You
box.
run the quarterback as number 1.
There you go. Get him out.
It's single wing offense, so there's no handing off, and because he's a body. So I almost thought I was going to see Arch Manning run in there like they did on the 4th down call early in the game. I thought, where is he? Here he comes. He didn't come. So I knew it wasn't a quarter, because Quinn Ewers isn't a quarterback runner. And then the other way to do is some type of option football and he's not that. I got news. There's no other way to run the football down there against Bear 0. That doesn't, you can
against a
sit there
good
and draw.
defense. Against a good Bear defense,
It's Bear 0. There's 2 extra hats.
Yeah.
So one is the quarterback direct snap. It's called single wing offense, which they did on 4th down, and they didn't do that. And then the second, the lateral play, which I know Coach Sark, and so much respect. That's going to haunt him for a while, because you have 4 shots.
Was that 4th down that happened?
2nd down. That was 2nd down.
That was the toss on 2nd down. Then on 4th down, was it the sack fumble, or was that 3rd down?
4th down.
Yeah, see. That Japan time been whipping my butt. I was dozing in and
So
out.
the first down, they hit no gain. They ran right in the teeth of it. 2nd down, second down, toss sweep. 3rd down, incomplete pass. 4th down, and they fumble 83 yards. Jack Sawyer the other way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that Jack Sawyer strip 6, if you will. And I think it was more than just a play.
Strip 6,
this is a play.
shouty.
And it's a play that's going to play for generations in Columbus, right? That's going to be one of those moments. That's like statue-esque type material in Columbus, and particularly because of who it was that did it. The captain and stripping his roommate freshman year at Ohio State, Quinn Ewers, and then taking it the distance. And to me, I think I got special joy out of it as a fan, because it was along the sideline. It wasn't in the middle of the field. So it's along the sideline. And
he's like looking at his teammates.
The whole sideline was running with him. And you could tell that it meant they're going to the championship game. I get that, right? But it meant a lot to them that it was that cat, that guy, Jack Sawyer, who was doing it.
Here's a little trivia.
Moment.
I offered Jack Sawyer as a freshman in high school. That's how good
After watching him play basketball?
I had Bosa and I had Chase Young, and I said, you become the next one of those, and I pointed to him. He's the greatest kid in the world. He's from Pickerington, 25 minutes from from Ohio State, and incredible family. And, I just, to see him do that. You're right. That's statuesque.
It's
hometown kid, right?
Stuff,
he's
man.
a hometown kid,
20
right?
minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Captain
Hometown
Jack,
kid.
baby.
Yeah.
Captain Jack. What a moment. What a moment. Let's hear from Coach Day after the game, and what it meant for him to see Sawyer and some of the other players do what they did on that stage in Arlington, Texas. Here's Coach Ryan Day after the win.
And then the guy over there, I don't know if there's, sure, we can argue about, I'm sure, who loves being a Buckeye more, but this is somebody who grew up in Columbus, who has always wanted to be a Buckeye, who's always wanted for a moment like this. So to see him get the moment that he had today, and he's become like family to me. He has, to me and my wife and my kids. And so this is just 2 guys, Emeka Buka, Travion Henderson, Cody Simon. I could go through Lathan Ransom. Donovan Jackson. Like, the story of this team is yet to be told. And no great accomplishments are ever achieved without going through adversity. That's just the truth. And so we've gone through our share of adversity, and that's life. And I've told those guys that. So we're not focused on what's coming down the road. We're not focused on what happened in the past. We're focused on right now and being right where we are. And then at the end, we want to be able to tell the story of this team. And that's really what this team's focused on right now.
You can hear it in his voice, right? What a kid like Jack Sawyer means to his family and to his program. Coach, you remember before the season started, I went to Columbus, and you were kind enough to set me up with a tour of the facility, and I got to see the team practice with my dad, right? And as you know, from Woody Hayes, the team takes that bus over to the stadium, and they were practicing their first game of the season. Right, here's what we do, guys. We get on the bus, we go over to the stadium. So I jumped on one of the buses with my old man, and we're on a normal bus filled with Ohio State thick vein cats, right? Just monsters. And me and my dad sitting there. And the one guy who came up and started talking to us and engaging us, give you a guess, Captain Jack. And Jack Sawyer. From that moment, I was like, all right, I want to see good things happen to you. I want to see more good things happen to you, I should say. And clearly it did with a moment that
Just to follow up on that, man, I became a big fan of him too. When I went up to interview Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins, he came out of the weight room, came and introduced himself, told me he was a big fan. We rapped, we talked, and from that moment on, I couldn't help but to want great things for that young man. So
right?
It's just he's consistently himself. So you hear that story about him, how he came and initiated a conversation with you and your pops. He came out, initiated a conversation with me. Like, you don't have to do that, man. That's just genuine. That's just a good dude, man. And when you see people like that succeed on the field, man, it makes your heart happy for sure.
And if you're an NFL GM, you're gonna look at the draft projects, projections and where Jack is or isn't. He's a winner, right? He's a winner on and off the field. And if you're debating between Sawyer and player B, go Sawyer. I don't think you're going to go wrong.
He's one of those guys you want in your locker room. He's one of those culture guys. He's a culture guy. He's a glue guy. Those are guys, those are adjectives, those are words, those are action words that you want describing your player entering an NFL locker room. And
so that 83-yard fumble return, the longest in college football playoff history, that is that. You know what that makes us do, Mark?
That's
83 yards. It's no longer a saucy nug. We've changed it. That made us do a double take. Try Wendy's 2 for 7.
2 for 7.
Yeah. We've pivoted from saucy nugs to double take. Try Wendy's 2 for 7.
2025. We
deal today. Everything's changing. You go to Asia and everything changes. Buckeyes. Nothing changes with Ohio State. They use that end of regular season loss to Michigan at home as a wonderful motivation to kind of move on from that misery and get themselves to the national championship game, where they will take on Notre Dame. When we return on the Triple Option presented by Wendy's, we're going to talk about the Irish moving past Penn State and into the national championship game.
Light it.
Welcome back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Mark Ingram, Urban Meyer, Rob Stone here with you. Thursday in Miami, the Orange Bowl, Notre Dame, Penn State. Mark, were you at that game? I know, Coach, you were there.
No, I didn't go, man.
You did not make it.
I was still down bad from that trip, dog. That Japan trip, bro.
It stung you, man. It stung you.
We tried to get him down there. Matt and I tried, and Brady. We were all there.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite. Yeah. So, Coach, you and Matt were.
Matter of fact, the invite. Where are you at? Look at your background. I'm the only one that's always in the same background. Where are you right now?
I'm in a hotel in Chicago, National Soccer Coaches Convention meeting. I had some speaking and some engagements to do.
Wait, you're where? Listen, National Soccer.
Yeah, come on, man. Coaches Convention. Coaches Convention. You've been to those coaches conventions, man. Coaches everywhere. But look at me. I traveled all my equipment. I traveled my Wendy's cup and football. By the way, that Wendy's football got me dinged at TSA. They had to go through my bag, and they pulled out the Wendy's football, and they're like, sir? And I was like, yes. What do you want, man?
Football.
It's a plastic football. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. Go on there. So, all right, let's talk Penn State and Notre Dame. Let's start with Notre Dame, right? For me, obviously it was all about the way that game ended. And just remember, go back with me to the end of the first half of the quarterfinal, Notre Dame, Georgia. And Georgia and Kirby Smart elected to kind of play it out. Hey, maybe we can get greedy, get some yards, and get some points late in the first half. What happened? Quarterback hit, fumbled, Notre Dame recovered, gets a touchdown, changed the face of the game.
Yes.
Late seconds of the game that is tied. James Franklin and Penn State, Mark, are backed up, and Franklin decides, let's try and get it out of here and try to win it rather than maybe take a knee with that precious time and that long of a field to go. He elects to be proactive, I guess. And I'm sure looking back on it, he would like to have that decision back. But again, 47 seconds left. 24-24 game. Penn State 1st and 10 at own 15-yard line. All right. And from there, that's where the whole game changed.
So I was actually with some people during that when it happened, and they looked at me and said, "What do you do here?" And I said, "Do not. It's over. Get to overtime." And
correct.
The team you're playing, man, this is always personnel related. If you're better than that team, everybody tries to make this complicated. I'm not saying that I did screw up, but no, I screwed up plenty of times. I would look, and if those cats are better than my cats, there's no chance I'm taking a shot in that situation. Don't do that. So you have a Penn State group of receivers that, in my mind, have struggled all year.
Yep.
They didn't have one reception, I heard, in that game.
Whiteout did not have a reception.
Now you have the best tight end, I think, that I've seen in a decade.
Tyler Warren.
Whiteout did not have a reception?
2 elite
Correct.
running backs. A quarterback that's been off and on has improved, certainly in the last 2 years, and watch them. And I think what James Franklin, and Andy Koldenicki's the offense coordinator, I'm sure over the headsets it went something like this: run the ball, let's get out of here. And
so they did run it, right, Coach?
They ran
Singleton
the ball
ran it
for 12 yards or something.
First down to the 28-yard line with 40 seconds left.
And then I would run it again. Run it again. If you start getting around that midfield area, then I would push the ball down the field, because if something bad happens downfield, an interception, you tackle the guys like a punt. But he let that thing go late across the middle. And I was like, I don't do that. And
You can't. You
they
can't
stepped
do
right
it.
in front of him. Yeah, can't do that.
You can't do it, man. Like, your team. Like, it's over now. Like, bruh.
And once again,
game,
when you throw the
Coach.
ball, Mark, remember it's matchup. And remember, Notre Dame has better secondary than Penn State has skilled receivers. If you're going to throw it, the only matchup you have is Tyler Warren. That's it.
Well, your quarterback, for one, is struggling. 12 for 23. He's struggling. You have a receiving group that doesn't have a catch. Do not throw this football right now at the most crucial point of the game. Like, run the football, get to overtime, and figure it out that way. You lose the game. Notre Dame gets the ball. They run it out, get in position. They kick the field goal as walk-off. You lose. You had a chance to put yourself in position to go win it, to go play for a national championship.
And I think
go ahead.
in the thinking, Coach, you were talking about, is their personnel better than our personnel? You had to remember that the Notre Dame personnel defensively leads the nation in takeaways. That was their 32nd takeaway, that interception. So it's something they've been doing all season long. And from that point, they had timeouts, they had short little runs to set themselves up. And, Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame did what they had to do.
That's where analytics might, the analytics piece, like if it said, try to do whatever, because you have a guy in the ear telling you this stuff.
Sure.
But you also have to be the game manager and say, wait a minute, we have not moved the ball well against this defense. Really, no one has. This is the number 2 defense in the United States of America. We have a receiving crew that has not performed very well all season long.
They don't have a catch in this game, Coach.
So once again, the analytics piece of this, if the score is 43-42, or, it's one of those games where you're going up and down the field, that's a whole different animal.
Right.
And then I'm going to put yourself in James Franklin's shoes, is that you give the wrong, you give the wrong message to your team about not being aggressive if you don't try to at least push the ball down the field. But in that moment, no.
I'm going to rely on my defense, and I'm going to rely on my 3 players that I've relied on all year: Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, and Tyler Warren. I'm not putting the ball in Drew Aller's hands to let him make a mistake, which he has done throughout the season. You know what I mean? And I'm not throwing to a group of receivers who does not have a reception all game long. Like,
that's got you fired up that they didn't have a catch.
Yeah, why is that going to change on this drive right now, right? The whole narrative has been, we are not working, right? We are not at our best doing these things. So why would it change right now at the closing seconds in a national championship semifinal game?
I'm playing for overtime. I'm relying on my defense and the 3 players that I have that have been consistently ballers all year long. That's what I'm doing.
And those 3 got them where they are.
Correct.
Those 3 players are legit players.
Yeah.
And
let's talk about James Franklin real quick. And this has been a topic of conversation throughout the year. You know, he can get him this far, but he can't quite get him that big win. And a lot of people were saying, all right, I can get to the semifinals. You know, maybe he quote unquote got that stigma off his back. I don't think so, only because of the competition that Penn State was up against through the course of the playoffs. Remember, first round home game against SMU, 38-10, when he didn't earn any accolades for that. That was something that
congratulations for beating SMU.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
For doing what you should have done. Quarterfinals, Fiesta Bowl against Boise State.
Congratulations.
31-14. Again, you did what you're supposed to do.
Group of 5, congratulations.
This was the test, though, right, Mark? Like, okay, if you can get by Notre Dame, and even that there might be some conversation, but if you can get by Notre Dame in the semifinals, then James Franklin, okay, we can move on from this narrative. I feel like the narrative, Mark, maybe has only gotten a little bit louder right now.
It is louder because you can't win the game that matters the most against the best teams. Against the biggest, the best teams, you can't win. What's the record? 1-16 against top 5? Or even worse, I don't know what the number is. So do we have it? It's like 1-16 or something. Like,
it's not good.
It's not great at all.
I
think you're right, Mark. It's 1-15 or 1-16.
Yeah, I hear Coach sighing right there because I know you look out for your coaching fraternity. It feels like that was something James Franklin needed. I'm not someone just to
bash people, man, but it's
correct.
Consistently, what you do is who you are, and you're not beating the top teams in the country. And unfortunately, that's what's holding Penn State back right now.
And we talked.
It's not all his fault, by the way. It's not all his fault.
Correct.
It's not all his fault.
And the first part of the show, we talked about how many programs are out there that it is what it is, and you are what your record are. You know, and there's a lot of places, and Penn State's one of there's very few places, and Penn State's one of them that every game you're going to go in the was it Beaver Stadium up there, and there's going to be 108,000 people out of their minds or nut jobs. I call it the migration of everybody from the state of Pennsylvania goes there. So it is what it is, and you know you are what your record are. They had a hell of a year, but I think I have to agree with Mark a little bit. You beat who you're supposed to beat.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to beat someone that you look across the field and that team has got what you got, or maybe even a little better.
And they had the opportunity.
That's to me how you get in the street fight.
And they had the opportunity this year, Coach. They had Ohio State on the goal line. You had them. They had Ohio State on the goal line. You can't get a yard. Whatever. You couldn't get 3 yards, I think, and 4 downs. And then now you have Notre Dame, and you don't finish the game. And thankfully for my great crew that we have behind the scenes, James Franklin is now 4-20 versus opponents ranked in the AP top 10 in his career. And he's 1-15 versus AP top 5 opponents during his time at Penn State. So there you go, man. It's not all his fault, but it is because you are the captain driving the ship.
Yeah. And they're going to lose some guys. Drew Aller has said he's going to come back and be the quarterback again. He clearly needs another year of seasoning if he is going to be that first-round quarterback type pick. But you wonder where Penn State goes from here. You know, it's an amazing run to get to the semifinals, but it's a major disappointment the way it concluded. You know, will James Franklin and the staff be able to capitalize on that momentum, keep it going in Happy Valley? On the flip side, what a great job that Marcus Freeman has done. The last time a 30-something coach won a national title, got to go back to 1981. Danny Ford, guys, at Clemson. Remember, Marcus Freeman just turned 39 on Friday, and that made us do a double take. Try Wendy's 2-for-7 deal today. Coach Freeman, in the post-game conversation, we want to play this for you on how the Irish got to where they are after getting buried in week 2 after losing at home to Northern Illinois.
You know, I often tell them in your lowest moments, you find out the most about yourself. And we've had low moments, but we had a really low moment. We know week 2. And these guys battle. We got great leaders. We got great players that chose to put this university and this football program in front of themselves. And that, to me, is probably the single thing that I'm probably most proud of is how we have a group of individuals that truly put Notre Dame football in front of themselves. Like, I know Riley and Christian truly would rather be in that locker room celebrating than being up here. But that's what it takes. It takes 120 guys saying, you know what? Who cares how many plays I get? Who cares what type of individual praise I get? It's all for Notre Dame and to make sure we achieve team glory. And we have a locker room of guys made up of that. And that, to me, is a reflection of what you saw today. The guys that did whatever it took to find a way to make sure we achieve the outcome we want.
Guess what? It's a reflection of the head coach as well, right?
Yes.
It's a reflection of what Marcus Freeman has built in a rather short time in South Bend, Indiana.
Yes.
How
The sky
good
was
is he?
falling on him, Coach. The sky was
yeah.
falling on him. Northern Illinois lost to Northern Illinois. What they've done? Won 13 straight and got themselves.
I want to say, Mark, when Brian Kelly left, I think he lost 2 in a row to start his career. He lost the bowl game and then the opening game against Marshall, I believe, the next year.
Wow.
You talk about caving in on someone. And then the Northern Illinois game, we all watched it. And in my own heart, I thought that there's,
how do you come back from that, right?
How do you get, you hit the mat at Notre Dame. How do you pick yourself up off the mat? I don't know that team like I know the Buckeyes, but I know this coach. And I'm going to say this because I know he gets a lot of credit. The best thing about him, he deflects it.
Yeah.
That locker room must be unbelievable, Mark.
Yeah.
You've been around those, you can be a hell of a coach and all of a sudden you have a locker room and you got a problem. You can be a very average coach and you have a bunch of monsters in that locker room, those alphas that refuse to lose. I mean, my gosh, right now I'm chilled up thinking about those locker rooms. When I walk in, I look and you see grown-ass men that give about one thing and winning that next game and sticking together. And that's hard to lose. I mean, you got to really screw it up as a coach when you got alphas like that.
Man, he's a leader of men, Coach. And what he's done at Notre Dame, he deserves all the praise, all the accolades that he's getting because this is a team that lost to Northern Illinois, and he has them with a chance to play for the national championship here in about a week, man. So just what he stands for. And like you said, he deflects everything. He takes all the ownership upon himself. When they try to say this about your quarterback, say this about your defense, say this about your team, he takes all ownership, and he puts it on himself. And that's a sign of a great leader. And that's the sign, and that's why his teammates, they play hard for that man, and they love that man. You can see it. So Marcus Freeman, he's building something special over there in South Bend, and I'm happy for him, man. He was on our show, a guest on our show. He was amazing on the show, and I'm a big fan of Marcus Freeman, man. So
he's been one of the biggest winners this college football playoff. Obviously, he got
100%.
He got a new contract just before the playoffs began, and
deservedly so.
And now it feels every week that goes by, you're like, okay, I get it. And you're right. Those press conferences, Coach, the way he handles himself, and it's not about me. And he's had some tough questions. A lot of people wanted to bring up the race issue. Hey, the first time a black head coach has made it into the national championship game, or is going to win it. And he's like, no, it's about coaching. I don't want it to be about skin color. I agree. Everything that's come his way, he's handled like the Notre Dame brass would want it to be handled.
Yes.
Right. And that is an elite institution. That is a different type of place to try and win. And man, to have that guy representing your institution and the way they're going about and doing it right now, man, if you're a Notre Dame alum, that chest is out. You are strutting around Chicago or wherever you are and like, hell yeah, I'm a Notre Dame grad.
All right, quick
man.
trivia. Mark, do you know what a
jacket.
Subway alum is, Mark?
A Subway alum?
Yeah, you're going to hear a bunch of that in the next 7 days.
Well,
Rob, right?
Didn't go to Notre Dame, but they're Notre Dame fans.
Yeah.
And here's the difference. You're going to see Ohio State's 55, 60,000 students. So just sheer numbers. When every year those kids all graduate and move all throughout the country. That's why the Buckeye Nation is so big. Notre Dame Nation is gigantic, but it's not alumni. There's 7,000 students. I think 7,500 students. That's it. But there's the Subway alum. And the Subway alum is exactly what Rob said. And I know because I coached there for 6 years, I believe. And I mean, there's so many Notre Dame fans out there that act like they're alums, and they're not. So that's the Subway.
Duke basketball has that phenomenon as well. One last thing about Marcus Freeman. Curious, do you guys remember the video of when he was introduced to the team as their next head coach? So it's in the locker room, and I forget, it must have been the athletic director, but I can't remember exactly who was saying, blah, 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 here we go, blah, blah, blah. And here is your next head coach. And let me tell you, he had to know what the reaction was going to be, because if that cat came in through the door and it was met with womp, womp, womps, you're lost. He knew that team wanted Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman walks through that door and the place erupts like they won a national title. And he's running into that pile, and it's just a lot of man love going on right now. A lot of football love in that locker room, and there's a reason why they felt that way. There's a reason why Notre Dame hired him. There's a reason why Notre Dame extended him. Because Marcus Freeman has the Irish back in the national championship game where they will take on the Ohio State and the triple option. We'll talk all things national championship game when we return. Welcome back to the triple option presented by Wendy's. Rob Stone, Urban Meyer, Mark Ingram back here with you. Time now for Pick Six, brought to you by BetMGM. Place your moneyline, prop parlay, and same game parlay bets at BetMGM. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Again, the lines are subject to change. Currently, it's a big one right now. Ohio State favored by 9.5 over the Irish.
Wow.
Before we get the picks and the breakdown of the game, think about this. Dabo Swinney, Kirby Smart, the only two current head coaches with a national championship. Marcus Freeman, Ryan Day, set to add their names to that list. The Irish going for their first natty since '88. The Buckeyes for their first since 2014. Coach, I know you've been eyeballing the two rosters in preparation for that. What jumps out at you when you are comparing those two rosters of Notre Dame and the Ohio State?
Yeah, I've always used the term talent equated because that's pretty clear. That means that they got what you got, and sometimes a little better, and that's the way you would game plan. I'd always meet with the staff after I did a thorough evaluation because that changes the whole world of how you plan a game. If that team across the sideline have better dudes than you got, then that once again that changes it. And I look at roster, and remember Notre Dame lost. There's either 3 or 4 really good players on their defense is phenomenal.
Yes.
Al Golden, the defense coordinator, is a phenomenal coach. They got great players on defense. But remember, they lost 4 players on defense. Offensively, this is not a talent-equated game on paper. It's not. And on film, I would say it's not. But I would say that the Fighting Irish, those gold helmets, the way they play, sometimes talent, rarely does a less talented team beat a more talented team. But this is one of those teams that's got a refuse to lose mentality. When they beat Georgia, remember now how they beat Georgia. They scored, they got a short field, a 6-8 yard field.
And then
next thing
teams.
you know, then a kickoff return for a touchdown, and the game flipped like that. It was not they lined up toe to toe and swung and hit because Georgia on film probably and on paper probably had the better roster. So I say that with respect that things happen. When TCU beat the Wolverines that one year, that was not a talent-equated game, Mark.
Yeah.
The Wolverines had much better talent than TCU, so things happen. But when I saw that point spread in Vegas, Vegas is not wrong very often.
They're Vegas for a reason.
But I would say this is a non-equated talented game, and I know that from watching it and looking at I watched the film before I said that, and then I also I did the study of the personnel.
Yeah. I mean, this defense is going to give them a shot. I think this Notre Dame defense, the way they've been playing, the way they've been turning the football over, we know when Ohio State struggles is when Will Howard has turnovers. Look at the Michigan game. When he has turnovers, they struggle, and Notre Dame's defense has been the best in the nation at turning the football over. So I think this defense will keep them in the football game. Now, it all comes down to Riley Leonard and this offense, being it and seeing how effective he would be. This defense of Ohio State, they have been just monsters at getting pressure on the quarterback in this playoff. 16 sacks, numerous amount of other quarterback hurries. So they will force his hand and see if he can handle that pressure, and will he be able to deliver consistently throughout the game. And we'll see, man. It's going to be a great game, but I think the Irish are going to be ready. Marcus Freeman going to have the Fighting Irish ready to play.
I got 2 comments about Notre Dame. Number one, their defense does not make mistakes, Rob. It's a little bit like when I talked about Indiana's defense. Remember, they always got the right fits. You don't see people coming clean. Really well coached, disciplined team that play really well. And I'm going to throw this out there because you're the, what do you call, running beast or our beast or something like
Our
that.
beast.
Jeremiah Love, the last 2 games, has only had 17 carries for 64 yards. He's
The
dealing with
MCL
some
coach
stuff.
is real deal. The MCL injury is for real for running.
Yeah,
Hey,
they
you know
got-
what was a real deal? That touchdown run by Love, by the way,
It was.
too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was. But also they got 3 good backs, man. They got Jadarian Price. They have Aeneas Williams coming out of the backfield and contributing in the backfield as well. So they got some playmakers, man. You talk about Jordan Greathouse, the game he had, 7 catches for 105. So they do have some playmakers on the outside, but at the end of the day, I think this comes down to Riley Leonard. And will he be able to consistently make the throws, consistently make the right decisions? He had 2 interceptions in the last week. 2 interceptions versus the Buckeyes will get you beat. Turning the football over versus the Buckeyes will get you beat. So I think this onus, I think it's going to have to be a huge game, the best game of his life for Riley Leonard in order for Notre Dame to pull off the upset.
So I watched back-to-back. I watched Georgia, and then I watched the next game against Penn State, Notre Dame. And I noticed a little difference, and I called Z, and I said, and he had 2 offensive linemen got hurt against Georgia, and the replacement struggled. So I just think this is amazing now because, you know, I'm not coaching, but you watch this Vegas stuff, and if these players are going to, if Jeremiah Love gets healthy, which MCL is a tough one, and all of a sudden these 2 offensive linemen, maybe the point spread, that tells you something.
Yeah.
And how do they know? Isn't that amazing how they find that crap out? I used to get so pissed off. I'm like, how do people find that out?
Yes.
They got guys. They got
Yeah.
guys,
They
coach.
guys.
All right, let me ask these questions for you. Defense. Are we saying it's kind of a push, or are we giving the edge to Notre Dame? I feel
I think
in
it's
the
a push.
because
I feel like it's
the
a
Ohio
push.
State defense has really
It's
been
no joke.
elite lately.
The Ohio State
Yeah.
defense has carried them all season long.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for that defense.
Right.
They
The red zone
probably,
defense is the best
yes.
I've ever seen.
Okay.
Best I've ever seen.
So
They've saved them 6 times this year.
yes. So let's say defense is a push.
Push.
Fair? Fair. Special teams. Again, Notre Dame had that kickoff return for a touchdown.
Caleb Downs, punt return touchdown.
There we go.
We'll wash it. We'll wash it.
We'll watch that one. So then it goes to offense. And
Ohio State.
it's not close.
Ohio State.
In that
Ohio State.
department, it's not close,
Yes.
right?
It's not close. It's not
Let me
close.
throw one other thing at you. And coach, this is probably more to you. A lot of people watched the Ohio State-Texas game that were neutrals or whatever, and they said that was the national championship game. That was the game that decides who's going to win the national title. And I bet there's some of that creeping in the heads of folks in Columbus and maybe some of those wearing scarlet and gray. That what an accomplishment that Ohio State has done already, going through Tennessee, going through Oregon, and then beating Texas in Texas, essentially, right? Ryan Day is saying the story is yet to be told, right? He has been pounding that mantra since that Tennessee game, really. The story has yet to be told. How do you make sure that the team is aware that there is another chapter to that story? Because there's definitely a feeling like we've done it already, and that cannot be the case against a
can't
team
be.
like Notre Dame.
Well, I'm going to share. So the 2 guys on this podcast, Mark Ingram and myself, we dealt with that. When we played each other in 08-09, that was the de
Yes.
facto national championship game. When we played Alabama in 14, we played Oregon next. I didn't say that, but everybody was saying that was the national championship game. And I'm going to take a quick talk. Billy Donovan, the incredible basketball coach, Florida Gators, was my neighbor in Florida. I had him speak to our team, and to this day, some of our players still talk about the speech he gave, and he called it the white rope. And you know what happens, Mark, in a basketball game? I watched it when Billy Donovan won the national championship. What do the ushers do right as the game ends? They lift up a white rope because they keep the riffraff from doing what? Coming on the court. You want to celebrate with the people that got you there, cut the net down and all that. Watch what happens in championship atmospheres. Those yellow coats or whatever they are, the ushers, what do? A lot of times they lift a rope. Why? To keep the outsiders from going in. There'll be time. That includes, I hate to say it, your family and girlfriends and all that other stuff. we'll have a hell of a time here in about a week or so. But I used to do that all the time to our players. Pull up the white rope. Do not listen. Do not. And it's so hard now. It was a little easier back then because you didn't have all the social media stuff. But whichever team pulls up that's what they're doing right now. Every coach right now is somehow finding a way to take their team out on an island somewhere. And just the thing is, these coaches are elite.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this. I think these two locker rooms, I know one of them. Just from the way they play, Mark, once again, I'm getting chills because I love these freaking guys like that are just, they're all about it. So I think you're going to see, you're going to see two focused. There's no nonsense here. This is two focused teams, excellent coaching staff, and I'd say two of the best locker rooms I've heard about.
Yeah, these two teams are going to be ready to play. And what I do want to mention is last time Notre Dame did play for national championship was 2012 against Alabama, and they got dog walked. So I think this team is going to not let that happen again. Notre Dame does not want that replay to happen again of them getting dog walked in the national championship. Dog walked.
It's good to have Mark back.
Yeah,
oh, that's great.
All right, so BetMGM is telling us right now the spread is 9.5 in favor of the Buckeyes. Right? All right, so 9.5. Urban. What do you see? BetMGM.
We got to do it already.
They want to know.
Is this? We got to do it, huh?
This is hot. Yeah.
Ohio State covers the spread. I think Notre Dame the defense is going to keep this thing close. I really like the way that Ryan Day and Chip Kelly went about. They weren't reckless. They were just really aggressive against Oregon and against Tennessee. But Texas had better personnel than Oregon and Tennessee. And they let the game play a little bit because you don't want to make a mistake early in that game. Let your defense play the game early. I think this is a low-scoring game at halftime, and I think the Buckeyes walk away in the second half.
The best thing that could have happened to this Ohio State team was losing to Michigan in the last game of the season.
Ooh.
That's the best thing that could have happened to this team. I know you don't want to hear that, Coach, but this team has been possessed since that loss. And I think the possession continues. I think they cover. I think they win by 10 points. And the difference is in the offense. I think Notre Dame defense is going to keep them in the game. I think they're going to get a turnover, make this thing interesting first half. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to pull away. I think they're going to win by 10 points. And I think it's going to be a good game for 3.5 quarters. And then Ohio State's going to pull away. So
remember,
I got the Buckeyes covering by 10 points.
It's been that championship or bust slogan, if you will, or conversation, at least around Ohio State all season long. And here they are, one game away from that championship. Notre Dame, the Ohio State. Both of you guys have the Buckeyes winning it and covering. Make sure to follow, subscribe, rate us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. 3X Option Show. Don't forget, submit those questions. We love to answer them. Our next episode comes out Wednesday, January 22nd, after the national championship game, and we'll probably talk that national championship game.
I can't
Ohio
wait
State
to hear what Brady has to say.
It's going to be a fun one in Atlanta. As always, thanks to our sponsors, Wendy's and BetMGM. Thanks for watching and listening to The Triple Option. We'll talk to you again Wednesday, the 22nd, where we'll have a national champ.